Dr. Ramji has done a PhD in Sanskrit Darshan, specializing in integral humanism, in Vedanta and Jain philosophy. Dr. Ramji has been a Swayamsevak of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh since childhood. He became a Sangha Pracharak, full-time Sangh worker in 1988. He was initially stationed at Akola in Vidarbha province of Maharashtra in Bharat for 1 year. Subsequently, in 1999, he moved to the UK to oversee Sangh work there. Presently, Dr. Ramji is the Sangha Pracharak for Europe and Vishwa Vibhag, that is all centers outside India, and he is the Vishwa Vibhag Saha Samyojak, joint coordinator of all activities, Sangha activities outside Bharat. That is a short parichaya of Dr. Ram G. Vaidya. Namaste.
Respected all the adhikaris present today, all my sisters and brothers present today. It is really pleasant surprise for me to see so many great faces here. And it is because of that, I became a little bit overwhelmed as well. Because we are a family. I'm not a guru, not a teacher, not a preacher, not kathakar, but just a student. And therefore the entire our course will be in the view of a student. And therefore when Sanjana ji said that it is a sahadhyay. Saha means together, adhyay means study. We study together. And when we study together, it means that everyone has a say. I can tell you one thing, that all we say is correct. No point of view is a wrong point of view, and no point of view is an absolute point of view. Because Bhagavad Gita is like a mother. And for the mother, all kids are wonderful. And that's why the entire journey of ours will be this way. So today we'll have a first session. Then if you have any suggestion, can we do this way? So you can suggest me, I can change myself. Or that way, so together we will take this journey onwards. So this is the one thing. And that's why do not consider that I'm giving a pravachan on Bhagavad Gita or something discourse on Bhagavad Gita. No, at all. We will study. And that's why I mentioned that we all should have the book of Bhagavad Gita in front of us. It is a study. If we do not have the book, at least we should have some literature in front of us, maybe online literature. And there will be definitely chance to speak. We all will get the chance. We all know how to speak, how to raise the hand on the Zoom. We are all used to our Zoom experts now in these 4 months. So this is the way we will go. We will chant something, some shlokas. The background of this one, I can tell you, we have started this Bhagavad Gita in the end of March, the beginning of the lockdown, Corona in the UK. And we went to the word to word, which way. So second round also already started. So there are some youngsters in the UK. We read it word to word. And probably from that knowledge, this idea must have come. And that's why we have now here. Somebody has shared the screen unnecessary, I suppose. Who was that? Something web page not available.
Jayendra Shah.
It is Jayendra Shah. Who is Jayendra Shah?
I think everybody can get out of that one, so only Sanjana ji can handle. Jayendra ji. It's great, brilliant. Wonderful. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Gita means song. So name of this book is not Gita. Is a Gita means the song. The song means when we can recite, we can sing it. There are so many Gita available. But this is Gita called as a Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavat means a Bhagavan. Bhagavan means a form of that Paramatma, that Brahma. And as if the Paramatma is saying in the form of, through the Krishna, that is the whole nature, structure of this Gita. There are so many like Ashtavakra Gita, the Uddhava Gita. Some Gitas are available. All the Gitas have a same philosophical meaning. But this is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Amongst all the Gita, this Gita became very famous. Somebody mentioned that. I think Swami Vivekananda mentioned once that after Srimad Shankaracharya, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita became quite popular in the society. Srimad Shankaracharya, our Adi Shankaracharya wrote the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. Or interestingly, he didn't write the commentary on the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He started his commentary after the 10th shloka after 11th shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. And today we are going to see the first chapter and the first 10 shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. It is a song. Definitely it must be something in the meter. And therefore meter in Hindi we call Chanda. So the meter of this Bhagavad Gita is called Anushtup Chanda. What does a meter means? Probably one of the famous mantra we know, Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. This mantra is not mantra of a Gayatri Devi. This mantra belongs to Surya Bhagavan, Savituh Varanyam. But this mantra is written in the form, in the meter called Gayatri, Gayatri Chandaha. That's why this mantra is called as a Gayatri mantra. Therefore, almost all the Bhagavad Gita shloks are in the Anushtup Chanda. Just for reference, I can tell you, our Vishwa Prarthana is also in Anushtup Chanda. Sarva Mangala Mangalya. But some shloks in the Bhagavad Gita are in the other Chanda called Trishtup Chanda. So Trishtup and Anushtup, these two meters are used for the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Our Bhagavad Gita is one of the speciality we call as a, if you want to one scripture, if you want to pick up to understand our Hindu Dharma, we always mention about Bhagavad Gita. It's very shortest. Only 700 shloks are there. But the 700 shloks are like a essence of the Upanishad. One of the shlok it is said that Upanishadaha Gavaha and Dugdham Gitamrutam Mahat. Gavaha means the cow. Upanishads are like a cow and the Gita is like a milk of that cow. And that's why whatever the essence of that Srimad or all the Upanishads are available in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And when you read it, you may realize, if you have already read the Upanishad, there are so many quotations from the Upanishad directly taken in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as they are. Even the analogies, metaphor as well. And that's why Bhagavad Gita means basically, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, we will have the essence of Upanishad. Someone can ask, what is the essence? What is the message of Bhagavad Gita? Can you just tell me one word or something very, very short? So we can give the only 2 words of the Bhagavad Gita. What the first word? The first word of Bhagavad Gita is called Dharma. And the last word of the Bhagavad Gita is called Mama. And that's why if you add these 2 words, Mama Dharma, my Dharma, is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Nothing else. Then what is Dharma is, then we can learn during the Bhagavad Gita. And what is Mama means, what is my means. So what is my Dharma is the message of the Bhagavad Gita we can understand. Another speciality of our scripture is, our scriptures are not written into prescribed form. They don't say that, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, like that. Our scriptures are mainly in the conversation form. I hesitate to use this word scripture all the time, but just for time being, I'm using the word scripture. But the best word is called darshana, or darshana grantha, or dharma grantha. So in our darshana grantha, in our any grantha, our whole concept is a conversation. Anyone can ask any question or n amount of time, and the answer giver is patiently giving the answer to all of them. And that's why Arjuna here is asking questions. Probably he may not be as smart as we are. So it took 18 chapters to explain to Arjuna about the Bhagavad Gita or the Mama Dharma. And probably we will learn only in 18 days only, that's it. So that conversation is more important, not the prescription. Another speciality of our philosophy is that we are less believers. We do not believe. And therefore, Krishna never asked you to believe without any reasoning. And he always mentioned to Arjuna, ask question, put some reasoning, give some logic, use some logic. And therefore, we are more seekers than the believers. And entire Bhagavad Gita is nothing but seeking. So many times it happened to me that whenever I read that shloka, I have a different meaning, I get different meaning. Like recently, we started this third round of the Bhagavad Gita. And when I read this shloka even today morning, just for preparation today, I said, wow, that meaning I never occurred in my previous readings. So therefore, it is not something, once we believe something, that's it. That's the end of the road. But we feel that that there is more to know through this or from the Bhagavad Gita. Like an ocean, if we take all the water from the ocean, but still the ocean will be ocean. It will never be empty. Similarly, that Bhagavad Gita is like an ocean or like a river where always new water is coming there. And that's why this is not just belief, the scripture or the book of the belief, it is a book of seeking. Next point, basically, the Bhagavad Gita is not given in the very comfortable situation, which is not given when we are sitting on the sofa or everything is wonderful. We have nice atmosphere around us, very calm, serene atmosphere. Then Bhagavad Gita is not taught. Bhagavad Gita is said in the background scene is not that serene place, not quiet place. It's a battlefield where you can imagine the maximum noise must be there. Everybody is basically ready to kill each other. Very rarely you will see the serenity in that battlefield. And in that battlefield, Bhagavad Gita is said. Our life is not less than battlefield. And that's why it is a right place, surrounding basically to learn the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore we will realize during Bhagavad Gita time, wow, this line is belong to me only. Or this line belong to my name, relative maybe. And that's why the Bhagavad Gita, we always feel that very close to our heart. What does the Bhagavad Gita do? Bhagavad Gita prepares ourselves for the battlefield. For battlefield, we need two types of preparation. One is the preparation of external things. I need to be ready to go out. I need to have a sufficient or efficient weapons with me. I should have a good training skill for my battle to fight. I should know all the the skills, policies, the everything, whatever necessary for the battle. That's called as a one type of preparation. Second type of preparation is called, for first type of preparation, I can give the name called the preparation for situations or a skill situation, a skill preparation. Second preparation is a preparation of a mind preparation. If mind is not ready, you cannot fight. Arjuna was completely ready for the first type of preparation. And he mentioned that, I am quite ready now. Senayor ubhayor madhye ratham sthapaya me chuta. Take my chariot in between the two armies. And I should see that army with whom I am going to fight. But the mind preparation wasn't there. And that's why this entire Bhagavad Gita is for the preparation of the mind. That's why it is basically the preparatory ground, preparatory equipments for the Arjuna and the people like all of us. So this is the whole background about the whole Bhagavad Gita. Now I will pause. If anything you would like to ask before we start the chanting the shloka about the introduction, what we have. Every day we need not have this introduction. It's because first time we are meeting. So you can suggest, is my language is okay, speed is okay, anything you would like to ask now. So we will pause for some time. There is a raise the hand probably or something, or you can just unmute. There is a raise hand. And anybody, anything you would like to ask about whatever we just studied. Okay? Yeah, Ramesh ji.
नमस्ते राम जी भाई। तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है आपको भगवद गीता सुनने का मौका मिला आपको उगांडा से। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन है, आप बोल रहा था शंकराचार्य ने started explaining Bhagavad Gita from 11th shloka. So what is the reason behind that? Why you want to leave it up?
Yeah, because the entire first adhyaya and the 10 shlokas of the second adhyaya, they are not any philosophical. They only give the background of that Bhagavad Gita or the entire Bhagavad Gita. That's why he didn't bother to say anything about those shlokas. He just gave the meaning maybe, but the entire commentary of the Bhagavad Gita started afterwards. And you will realize after 11th chapter, tomorrow when we'll see, there is a deep dive in the philosophical concept. The first is quite different. That's why. Okay, so we will open the book and we will start. You must have seen the, Gauri ji.
I have a question. For someone who has never read the Bhagavad Gita or never sat in such a forum, if you were to explain shlokas to them, how would you explain it? How would you describe it?
Shloka. Yeah, normally what we'll do here, we will read it first. And then what we'll do, we'll split the words, that shloka. And then we will understand the meaning of each word, wherever possible. Some slokas limited. And then we will understand. So for example, someone with never read Bhagavad Gita, never like that. So it doesn't matter. We will understand the very basic introductory meaning of that shloka only.
But the word itself.
Word itself.
How would you describe it?
Means how it means? I will explain you in the meaning.
So would you describe it as a scripture? Would you describe it as poetry?
That way.
The word for it.
Whichever way.
So Ramji, she's asking what is the meaning of the word shloka?
Up to you. For example, if you think as a scripture, wonderful. But somebody says, I do not want to be a scripture. I would like to learn as a poetry. Wonderful. Somebody says, I would like to learn as a science. No worry about that one. I will take it as a science basically. Okay. So how we take this, explain the word, describe the shloka is up to all of us. So some people may say it is my scripture. Wonderful, no worry. Some people say, no, my scripture is something different. But I would love to learn this thing as a book for my science. Like for example, in the Ayurveda, the psychiatry, this is a prescribed book. It's a work of syllabus. When I did my PhD, this book was for the humanity. So all the human rights concept will be there. Somebody says, I'm a nutritionist, so I would like to have some syllabus. So there is one of all the nutritionists also. Some psychologists, some sociologists, anyone can study this Bhagavad Gita and extract something out of that one. So up to you. When you study it, you will realize, okay, I think probably I will praise this Gita as the poetry. In a way, it is a poetry. You can decide. It's a freedom for you. Great. So I think Gauriji is now, you are relaxed now. It's anything basically. Wonderful.
English na bole.
Haji.
Ek word samajhna pada.
Divya ji. Yeah. Okay. So in the whole conversation Bhagavad Gita, there are two pairs are there. They're speaking. One pair is starts with Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. That's a pair. That's the original. And in between that pair, another pair is called conversation is there. It's called Krishna and Arjuna. And funnily, the Mahabharata also started have so many pairs. Like there's one pair, Vyasa is telling to the Ganesha, that we all know. Then there's a Vaishampayana, is also saying to the king. And therefore the Mahabharata also is a conversation. In Bhagavad Gita also the conversation with Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. We all know Dhritarashtra is a father of all the Kauravas, and Sanjay is one very dedicated, we can say as a courtier person, but he has something vision. And because of that vision, Sanjay could see it. That is one of the concept. And therefore, Dhritarashtra asked this thing. So, I will say and you repeat after me. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta Mamakah Pandavaschaiva Kimakuruvata Sanjaya. Uvacha means said. Is a past tense to say. Dhritarashtra said. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samavetaha Yuyutsavaha. Samavetaha means gathered. Samavetaha means gathered. Yuyutsavaha. Yuyutsa means wish to fight. My will or wish to fight. So, where I am wish to fight the people is called Yuyutsavaha. These Yuyutsavaha are gathered there. Where Dharmakshetre. Dharmakshetre means in the kshetra means field. In the field of dharma. Where dharma will be decided. When dharma will be confirmed, determined. That field is called Dharmakshetra. Because this war is not between the two families. Not for two empires. This war was for the dharma. And that's why it is called the Dharmakshetre. Therefore, sometimes we may ask, we are so much Shanti Priya, we always love peace. And how can we defend this war? Because beyond the peace, we always hear for the dharma. We are the protector of dharma. And therefore, this field of a dharma. And that's why Kurukshetra, this name is called as a Kurukshetra. Even today in Haryana, this place is available. Therefore, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samavetaha means all the assembled, gathered. Yuyutsavaha, the people who are desired to fight, who are willing to fight, ready to fight. And that's amazing. 2 words Dhritarashtra used. Mamakaha Pandavaha Chaiva. Mamakaha means mine. And then Pandavaha, then the children of the Pandu. And there we realize Dhritarashtra is always biased from his sense, from the inner nature. He didn't say that all are mine. He didn't say that 2 brothers or 2 cousins. He'd say Mamakaha Pandavaha Chaiva. Chaiva means and. Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. Sanjaya means his address to Sanjay. Kim means what. Akurvata means they do. They did. So what they did, who? Mamakaha, my children, and the Pandavaha, the Pandu's children. So in the battlefield, which is the battlefield, or which is a field of a dharma, it's a field of the Kurukshetra, Mamakaha, the mine, and the Pandavaha, who assembled to fight, to desire to fight. What they did, that was a question by Dhritarashtra. And then the Sanjay goes on making, you go with the 3rd shloka. Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudhan Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Pashya etam, the 2 words are there. Pashya means see. Etam means this. Pashya means see this. Pandu Putrana. Pandu means the Pandu, Putra means the son, children. The children of the Pandu, Pandava. Acharya. Acharya means, oh, teacher. Mahatim. Mahatim means big. Chamum. The Chamum means the army. This sentence is said by Duryodhana to the Bhishma. Okay? So, Dronacharya. Dronacharya is saying that, approaching Dronacharya, and he's saying, Acharya, look at this army arranged by the Panduputra. Who has done this thing? Vyudhan. The Vyudha misarranged. Drupada Putrena, the son of a Drupada. Drupada was a king, and he was the father of Draupadi. That's why Draupadi name came. Tava Shishya, Drupada Putrena means the son of a Drupada. By Drupada Putra, Tava Shishyena Dhimata. The son of Drupada is called Dhrishtadyumna. The Dhrishtadyumna has arranged this entire army. And he was teasing that, look Acharya, that same Dhrishtadyumna, which is Tava Shishyena. Tava means you, your. Shishya means disciple. It's your disciple. But your disciple was how? He was a Dhimata. Dhimata means, Dhi means Buddhi. You must remember this shloka, that Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. That Dhi means intellect. Dhimata means one who's intelligent. This entire army was arranged by your disciple, your intelligent disciple. And that disciple is now fighting against us. And therefore he said, Pashya, look at this army of Pandava. So Pashya etam, Mahatim Chamu, the big massive army of Panduputranam, of the children of the Pandu, of the Pandavas, which is arranged, means Vyudham, by Drupada Putrena, the son of a Drupada, who is an intelligent Dhimata, Tava Shishyena, your disciple. And then onwards, they mention that whosoever, how many people are there, and they give the names of so many the army men, the kings and the princes who supported them. They mentioned that. Then he said that, what about us? There are so many people, our army also not weak. So go with the 9th shloka now. Anye cha bahava shura madarthe tyakta jivitaha nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. Anye means other. Bahavaha means many. Whenever you get cha means and. The cha will be used so many times in Bhagavad Gita. So cha means and. Bahava means many. Shuraha means brave. Madarthe, for me. Tyakta jivitaha. Tyakta means give up. Jivita means lives. They have given up their lives for me. Look at the arrogance of the Duryodhana here. He didn't say that this army is belong to dharma. This war is not for dharma or adharma. He said this war is belong to me. And I want to win it. And therefore this entire army is belong to me. Madarthe. And that's why in our Sangha we always say that we never say my team. We always say we a team. So we work together. It's not my team. If I am a Karyava or anybody, we don't say it's my team. We say we as a team. But Duryodhana is something different. He say, Madarthe, for me, these people, these army men, tyakta jivitaha, they prepared to risk the life. How are they? Nana shastra praharanaha. Nana means various. Shastra means weapons. Praharana means equipped. They are equipped with various weapons. It says that, it conveys that in that time, the warfare, the science of warfare was quite developed. And we used to have so many types of weapons to fight in the battlefield. So, Nana Shastra Praharanaha. And Sarve means all. Yuddha Visharadaha. Yuddha means war. Visharadaha means expert. They're expert in the war. So these people who are ready to fight, and these people ready to fight for me, they already has given up their hope for life, the risk for the life. They have taken the risk for the life. But these people are amazingly brave. Bahavaha, many. Nana Shastra Praharanaha, equipped with many weapons. And they all are expert in the warfare. So he's praising all his army, the Duryodhana. But then he said that wonderful 10th shloka we will learn. Aparyaptan tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam paryaptan tvidame tesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. Aparyaptam. Paryaptam is limited. Aparyaptam is unlimited. Tat means that. Asmakam means our. Tat asmakam. Balam. Balam means strength. Bala is very common word in Hindi as well. Bala means strength. Bhishma, the name of a Pitamaha Bhishma. Abhirakshitam. Abhirakshitam means carefully, overall protected, all round protected. Abhi. Whenever Abhi prefix comes, it means that all round, called Abhi. Rakshitam is protected. So our army, which is our strength, is protected by the Bhishma. And Paryaptam, limited, tu idam etesham. There are their strength, which is Bhima Bhirakshitam, which is protected by the Bhima. The Bhima probably must be the in charge of some part of that army. And therefore he said that strength, which is protected by the Bhima, but that strength is very limited. And our strength is unlimited. So in every shloka, the ego of Duryodhana is getting reflected. And whenever you know that, whenever you try your work, if you do have an overestimation about your strength, there is a more chances you can be defeated. And therefore you should not have an underestimation and overestimation. And never, never underestimate the enemy. But what he did, Duryodhana, he thought that the army of the Pandava is quite underestimated, very small, limited strength. And I have a very great, huge strength because our army is great, they're equipped with the weapons, and our army is Bhishma Abhirakshitam. It is protected by the Bhishma. And who can defeat the Bhishma? That is basically the confidence he had. So this is the way the entire Bhagavad Gita will go on. This first chapter will go on. And one time, what happened? I'll just read quickly because I was looking at the time as well. So don't repeat. You can say with me or just see basically. So, Tasya Sanjanayan Harsham Kuru Vruddhah Pitamaha Simhanadam Vinadyochai Shankhan Dadmau Pratapavan. Tasya Sanjanayan Harsham. Tasya means to Duryodhana, Sanjanayan Harsham. Sanjanaya means by creating. Harsha means the happiness, the pleasure. And therefore, Kuru Vruddha Pitamaha, the Pitamaha, the great grandfather, means Bhishma, who is the oldest in this Kuru, in that family. Here, to make him cheerful, what he did? He Shankham Dadmo. He blew the conch. Unhone Shankha bajaya. Because that time, that was the war cry. To blow the conch. And that's why he Shankham Dadmo. The Shankham Dadmo means he like a roar, like a what? Like a Simbhanadam Vinadya Uchchaihi. Simbhanadam means like a lion. Vinadya means like a vibrating. Pratapavan. That Pratapavan Pitamaha of that age, he made Duryodhana very happy, cheerful. And for his cheerfulness, he blew the conch. Even if you, without understanding, if you read this shloka, you feel that something is there. This is called as a Raudra Rasa. It's a rasa. And the rasa creates that, the rasa of a bravery. Even the Simhana, the Vinadyochai, Shankhan, Dadmo, Pratapavan, by just reading it, we realize that amazingly, that atmosphere we could create in front of our eyes. And then what happened afterwards? Each one started blowing the conch. Krishna also blew the conch, Arjuna, Sahadeva, Nakula, Dushasan, Duryodhan, everybody. And you can imagine all the conches, like a war cry started. Not only the conches, there are so many Panava. We all know Panava means what? Anaka, the Shankha, all those things, all the weapons, all the instruments, they start blowing and making a noise just to create the sense of bravery, the boil the blood. That was atmosphere in that one. Then that time, Arjuna said to Krishna, that was amazing thing. He said, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapayame Achyuta. Hey Achyuta, Achyuta is the name of a Krishna. And that Krishna means, Achyuta, can you take my Ratha between these two armies? Senayoho, Ubhayoho. Ubhayoho means both. Senayoho means armies. Between these two armies, Madhye, in between, Ratham, my chariot, Sthapaya means take, establish, situate, me, my, Achyuta. Why the Achyuta word comes from Krishna? The Achyuta means fallible. One can fall, one who can be corrupt. But Achyuta means Krishna, one who cannot be corrupt anytime. He cannot have a biased intention anytime. He cannot fall in his character anytime. That is called Achyuta. Arjuna knows about this thing, and that's why he said, Ratham Sthapaya Mechyuta. Then when he went there, like I said, he was quietly prepared because he mentioned one sentence immediately after that. Kairmaya saha yodhavyam asmin rana samudyame. I need to know that with whom I'm going to fight in this battlefield. So he was quite prepared. But when he went there, what happened? There was one shloka, he said that in the shlok number 26. Tatra pashya sthitan partha pitrunath pita mahan acharyan matulan bhratrun putran pautran sakhins tatha shvashuran surudaschaiva senayorubhayorapi tan samikshya sa kaunteya sarvan bandhunavasthitan krupaya paraya vishto vishidan nidam abravit. That is the turning point of Arjuna. We become very strong all the time. We remain all this time strong. But whenever we come across with our family members, we become weak. And therefore we always say, for my doctors as well, doctors cannot treat their own relatives. Somebody has to be some different person. And when Arjuna came there, Arjuna saw, he didn't see Bhishma. He didn't see Duryodhana. He saw their brothers. He saw them as a grandfathers. And therefore, all those relatives, when he saw, he said, how can I fight with my relatives? That's the question came. And therefore, whenever in the life as well, our righteousness and the family members come as a conflict, the normal person, average person, choose to be biased towards the family members. And we say, okay, forget about this righteousness. And that is the crucial time that Krishna Gita is needed. Even if there are your relatives, you need to behave, you need to follow the righteous path. We have seen so many films like that. And the police officer had to arrest the own son or own daughter or own somebody, relatives. And that's why the righteousness comes, and in the conflict with the relatives, what sort of things to be chosen by us, that is very important. And here the Duryodhana, Arjuna became very weak. And he said, I think I can fight with them. It's physical depression. And if somebody is studying the psychiatry, they will understand what sort of things happen in the depression. He said that in the 29th shloka, Sidanti mama gatrani mukhancha parishushati vepathuscha sharire me roma harshascha jayate. Sidanti mama gatrani. Gatra means my limbs, my organs. Sidanti, they are giving away. I feel that they're not operating properly. Mukhamcha, mukham is mouth. Parishushati, parishushati means became dry. My mouth has become dry. And vepathu sharire. Vepathu means the shivering. My body started shivering. And Roma harshascha jayate. Roma harsha. I am getting the goosebumps in the hair is standing on my body. Roma harshascha jayate. So this is experience of anyone who cannot fight, who's quite tired, quite fearful, that type of thing. And then he said that, next shloka, Gandivam Sramsate Hastat. Gandiva is the name of his bow. Gandiva. That Sramsate is slipping from my hand. Hastat. And then Tvak Chaiva Paridayate. Tvak means the skin. Paridayate means burning. I feel that my entire skin is getting burnt, is burning. That much heat is developing because of that depression. And then lastly said, Nacha shaknomya avasthatum. I'm a little bit fast here, but you will understand. Shaknomi means able. Nacha shaknomi means not able to. Avasthatum means stand still. I cannot stay still. I cannot stand still because Brahmati me manaha. My mind is whirlpooling, like moving. I'm feeling quite dizzy because of that. So Brahmati me manaha. So this is the explanation of the Arjuna. Or the situation of the Arjuna happened. But Arjuna mentioned that, Krishna, logically I think this war is not good for me. Because I think that probably because of this war, millions of the people may die. Their wives will become widows. And what are going to be achieved just for kingdom? That's why. And if I initiated the war, probably I will go in the Naraka, in the hell. So therefore, Arjuna started giving a logic for his situation, for his condition. Initially accepted that Gandivam Samsate Hastat, Brahmati Vacha Me Manaha, Sidanti Mama Gatrani, all my body parts are basically giving away. I cannot stand properly. But he didn't accept as a depression. He started giving a logic of his passiveness and non-activeness. And the entire chapter mentioned that why this war is not beneficial for all of us. Whenever we also do something in life, whenever something we fear to do, or we scared to do, or we would like not to do, that time we do not say, I'm scared to do. I give logic why this thing is not supposed to be done. That's why we always call it as Arjun syndrome in that time. Our duty is set, but that duty, when we are failed to complete the duty, I do not say I failed it because of my limitations. I always give the logic behind it. And we pretend like we are a very rational person. That is the type of Arjuna. And when the Arjuna became like that, Krishna said to him, he smiled basically, because he realized this is going to happen to him. Therefore, when the second chapter starts, the second chapter, Krishna, one of the 10th, he said that Prahasan Niva Bharat, Prahasan Niva Bharata. In the shloka, 10th shloka, he said, by smile only Krishna starts. Krishna didn't become angry on Arjuna because he knew that probably few people, they start their work, but they cannot complete it. Some people, they're scared before starting as well. They want to do something, but cannot do this thing. For them, the Krishna just smiled. That time, the temperament of the Arjuna also to be understood. What the Arjuna said to Krishna, we will see tomorrow. So, we wanted to start from second chapter today, but we didn't do. But doesn't matter. Tomorrow, on Wednesday, we will go with the second chapter. The first chapter, last shloka says that Sanjay Vacha, Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, Evam Uktva, by saying, Arjuna, Sankhye. Sankhya means in the battlefield, Rathopastha Upavishat. He came out of the chariot and sat down. How? Visrujya Sasharam Chapam. Visrujya means by leaving, by laying aside. Sasharam, Sharam is arrow. Chapam is bow. He kept away the bow and the arrow, and shoka samvigna manasaha. He was completely, his mind was agitated with the grief. Shoka means grief. That is the chapter. And that's why the name of this chapter is also named as a Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Vishada means the grief of Arjuna. So, Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama Prathamodhyayaha. I will explain about this last one because every end of the chapter we will recite this thing. Om, everybody knows, Tat Sat, that is the truth. Tat means that, Sat means truth. Iti means thus. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, this is called as a Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In that Bhagavad Gita, which is the part of Upanishad, Upanishatsu. What is the knowledge we are giving? The name of a knowledge is called Brahma Vidya. Vidya means knowledge of a Brahma. And Yoga Shastra. Shastra means science. The science is called Yoga. The way we are doing it is called Yoga. So to understand this Brahma, we need a path. And that path is called the Yoga. And how is going to happen? It's happening Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvada. Samvada means conversation. In the form of conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Then Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama. Every chapter has a different name. So this chapter has a name called Arjuna Vishada Nama Prathamaha Adhyayaha. Adhyaya means chapter. So I will stop here now. We have 2 minutes. If you have any quick question, and I would love if you have any feedback, you can give here in the chat box. Afterwards also we can stay for a couple of minutes. But as we have a rule that whenever we start on time and finish on time. Namaste.
Asmita ji to take us through the Kalyan mantra.
Namaskar, Kalyan mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Namaste.